Hello and welcome into this edition of the Golf Channel podcast with Rex and Lav. And folks, we are just wrapping up day one at the PGA Championship. Round one is not yet completed. Still have about a dozen groups left on the course. Most holes remaining in round one is about 5. We saw just about everything on Thursday at Oak Hill. We had a frost delay, had world number 1 Jon Rahm with a 76. We had a Tom Kim mud bath. And live golfers are once again very much in the mix. Dustin Johnson just bogeyed his last hole to shoot 67. But Bryson DeChambeau, remember him? What a glorious scene to see him one shot off the lead of Eric Cole, who still is at 5 under par with 4 holes remaining in his opening round. Rex, what is your takeaway from the first round of the PGA?
I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing. We're doing this in real time. So actually, Terrell Hatton was just finishing up his round with, well, it's a par on the 18th hole, but it was so animated. It was the perfect Terrell Hatton par to finish up a round. I'll say this about, there was some unknowns about Oak Hill coming into this. I think the line Jordan Spieth gave me yesterday, it's a U.S. Open venue. It might be dressed up. It might be playing a PGA Championship venue, but it's a U.S. Open venue. That being said, I think I saw more low scores today than I would have thought, simply because the rough is virtually unplayable. If you end up in the rough, it's going to be a one-shot penalty. But you had some players, certainly Eric Cole, as you pointed out, he's got still got to finish it off. I think you and I were talking on. He just put
out his player credential to get back in the clubhouse. Like, no, guys. Like, I know I'm a 34-year-old rookie. I know I haven't done much of the PGA Tour despite the good finish at the Honda. Like, no, I'm actually playing in this. Like, I can go to player dining.
I'm leading. Look, my name's right there. But he has this. It'll start tomorrow morning when I'm sure it's going to be cold, not as cold as it was this morning on the 6th hole, which I think you're right is playing the hardest. So he has some work to finish up and stay in the lead. But I have to admit, I mean, there was a lot more birdies out there than I would have thought. But I'll go to what Scottie Scheffler says. It's not going to get any easier than this. I just glanced at the forecast. The winds never get below 20 miles an hour the rest of the week,
which I think is what you want. Right? Like this was, I think, a typical PGA Championship start. You had some birdie opportunities. There's not a whole lot of separation. I see 19 players within 4 shots of the lead. You mentioned the changing conditions for the rest of the week. Like it's supposed to be 80 degrees on Friday. Welcome to Western New York. We had a frost delay Thursday morning. It's going to be 80 degrees tomorrow afternoon. And then you're supposed to have some wicked weather come in on Saturday. Looks like, mid 60s, windy, rainy before it's a nice day on Sunday. My big takeaway, Rex, wasn't so much scoring. This is kind of what I expected. I think you and I talked about this on the preview pod. Like we thought 6 to 8 under par was probably going to win this golf tournament. It seems like Scottie Scheffler, who shot a bogey-free 67 on Thursday, can just kind of drop anchor and shoot even 1 under, 2 under the rest of the way. And I think he'll be very happy with his position. My big takeaway was you look at the top 10 players in the world ranking. There is just one, and that's the aforementioned Scottie Scheffler, who broke par in the opening round. Jon Rahm, 76. Rory McIlroy, 71. Patrick Cantlay's 4 over with a couple holes still to play. Xander Schauffele with a 72. Max Homa with a 71. Cam Smith with a 72. Jordan Spieth with a 73. I mean, you talk about a golden opportunity for Scottie Scheffler or a Dustin Johnson or maybe even a resurgent Bryson DeChambeau to pick off another major championship. I mean, this thing is lying right there for them. Those players did not necessarily shoot themselves out of the golf tournament yet. They're obviously going to have to make up some ground here over the remaining 54 holes. But man, there's a lot of guys who just laid down, and you have to feel really good if you're a Scottie or a DJ at this point.
I mean, Jon Rahm shocked me. We talked about this, I think, on the podcast earlier this week. When we picked favorites, it was Scottie or John. You were just kind of splitting hairs when you distinguished between one or the other because there was nothing about their games that would have suggested that they wouldn't be in contention. We talked about this being a ball striker's golf course. He talked to the media earlier this week. He was relaxed. He was confident. That one shocks me. Rory, let's be honest, that doesn't shock me. When he was talking with the media, slump-shouldered, clearly not in a good spot after missing the cut at the
He actually did well, Rex. He actually did well, I thought, to come in at 71.
For only
one
hitting
over
2
par.
fairways, he did excellent. I'll take it one step further. If you're only hitting 2 fairways and to only shoot 1 over par, it's pretty shocking. He did reveal after his round he's been fighting an illness. He hopes to get over that over the next few days, but he'll need to do much better going into the weekend. But you're right, he didn't quite shoot himself out of it. I guess maybe the bigger surprise for me, though, on the other end, would be Bryson DeChambeau. I picked Dustin Johnson. I mean, I think we both had to pick who we thought was going to be the low live player. I went with Dustin Johnson. I think you went with Brooks. I did not expect Bryson DeChambeau to do this. And it has nothing to do with him playing live, has nothing to do with him only playing 54 holes. It has everything to do with he really hasn't done anything, really even before he joined Live Golf. He was dealing with injuries. He was dealing with clearly some medical issues, being overweight, apparently. What was the issue? Who knew? In that particular context, he was dealing with some food injuries.
It wasn't necessarily overweight. I mean, he got up to 245, and his frame is pretty big. I think it's more what he was eating, which was causing
how he was gaining the weight.
His gut health was not ideal. It was leaving him inflamed. It was leaving him presumably pretty gassy when you're having 6 or 7 protein shakes a day and 5,000 calories. Should we talk about poop? No, we're not going to talk about poop. But look, I think he looks terrific. I mean, he's down to 210, 215. He's really strong. The interesting thing too is he has said that essentially the speed training that he has done is now ingrained in his game. Like he has 190 on lock. It's just a matter of knowing that he doesn't need to overexert it. So like if he needs to fly a bunker at 330, like he has the horsepower to do it. And everyone kind of looks at the 2020 Bryson as the high water mark for him, right? Like that was at his beefiest, that was at his brawniest, that was when he was a bully on the golf course. He won his major championship. It felt like it was going to be a revolution. Bryson DeChambeau is not trying to get back to 2020, Rex. Bryson DeChambeau is trying to get back to 2018. 2018 is the season in which he struck the ball the best that he has on the PGA Tour. That was a season in which he won 3 times. That was a season in which he peaked at number 4 in the world rankings. There was a precision to his game that did not exist in 2020. 2020 was kind of haphazard, and he was flailing it, and he was just kind of using brute strength. 2018, he was using his myriad gifts to win golf tournaments. That's what he wants to tap back into, while also having kind of this speed and this power and this distance in reserve from what he's developed over the past couple of years.
I would agree with that. It's an easy speed, and we saw it today. Which certainly, I think you go back to those brawny days. It looked like he was trying to bludgeon the ball. What do you got there? What you sipping on there, pal? Anything?
Nothing.
What you got? Nothing.
Nope.
I will say this though, and this kind of goes to the idea. I think you and I talked about it after covering the Live Golf finale last year at Doral, and then again just a few weeks ago in Orlando when they played at Orange County National. I came away with a couple of ideas, but the one that really stuck with me is no one misses it more than Bryson. Bryson misses the spotlight. He misses the attention. He misses being in the middle of it all. And look, when it was happening, there was probably a part of him that got aggravated, that he was constantly being pulled to the side and was constantly being asked for interviews. But now, in retrospect, going the other way, you can see it. I mean, he was smiling today. He embraced it so much. How many stops?
The lead of my column is the happiest man on property on Thursday was Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah,
he missed it. He missed all of it. He missed the leads. He missed the fan adulation. He missed the interviews, and he missed like pummeling drives and getting attention for it and making birdie putts. Like he missed all of it. Yeah.
I would agree with that. When I talked to him on Tuesday, I got him in between. He was going from the chipping green to the putting green. And normally over the years, and you can attest to this, when you would approach Bryson, you would always try to wait for him to be finished up because he took his work seriously, or at least I always tried to wait. And you had to wait a long time because he put in a lot of time. And I just kind of eased in and I was like, I know you're going to putt right now. Can you just give me an idea of what you might be doing after that? And he's like, no, I've got time right now. Let's go. And you could tell it was just a different guy that he was like, well, what kind of questions do you have? Touched on.
He missed you.
I don't even know if he didn't miss me. I think he just missed the spotlight, to be quite honest with you. I wish I could take the credit for that. And this goes to the idea that it's not as though there's no attention over in Live. I'm not saying that. Please don't do this to me. I don't want to get ratioed on this. What I'm saying is the level of attention that he got, not just on the PGA Tour, but when he was competing like he is right now in a major championship. I think this has just revigorated him.
I don't think you're going to get ratio for that. I mean, Live Golf has stopped reporting viewership numbers. I think it's clear that this is a bigger stage with more eyeballs on it at a major championship than a
Now
regular
you're going to get ratio.
season tournament. I do think, Rex, for all of the bluster and the bombast that Bryson DeChambeau has engendered over the past couple of years, like, I think it's easy to forget that this guy is an exceptional golfer, and he always has been. It doesn't matter whether he's skinny, it doesn't matter whether he's hefty, it doesn't matter whether he was the longest player on the PGA Tour or whether he was kind of above average length, which he was in 2018, the player that he's trying to emulate now, when he was 25th on the PGA Tour in driving distance, averaging 305 yards. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, and he played exceptional golf at that period of time. It's easy to kind of think of him as this freak show or this sideshow, right? He's not that. In fact, when he's at his best, he is so much of an artist. Like, there's so much artistry to his game. He's carving it both ways, up and down, and if he can complement that side of him along with the majestic power and the game-changing distance that he still has in reserve, like, I don't think there's any reason to think that he still doesn't have a couple of good years left in him.
I don't want to pick this apart because you made a lot of good points in that rambling diatribe of yours that you just kind of stumbled through right there. But I will say that, no, he's not an artist. He's very much a scientist. He's a show-off. I will go that far. Like, he loves standing on the tee box and feeling the energy, feeling the vibe.
If you watch Bryson DeChambeau for 18 holes, there is a level of artistry to his shot making. There's no doubt about it.
It's always been the math. This isn't about art. And we can sit here and argue about this. I mean, I think it's obvious. And he wanted to boil the game down to ones and O's. It's essentially what he wanted to do. He wanted to make it binary, I guess, is what we're talking about here. Because I truly believe that he in his mind, in that very, very in-depth and I mean, sometimes twisted mind of his, he wanted to perfect the game. And in his mind, and I'm sure he still can, come up with ways to continue to perfect the game. That's what he was going for when he put on all the bulk, and he was just trying to. I remember asking Xander Schauffele when he won the Open at Winged Foot, is Bryson DeChambeau reinventing the game? And I think Xander's response was, no, he's just taking advantage of it. And I think what you see is someone that wants to have all the answers. I don't think you see someone that wants to create a work of art.
I disagree. I think when you see Bryson DeChambeau now, and he had this interesting line today in his press conference where he said that he just wants to be stable. He's done trying things. He's done trying to make things different than what, like, he needs to just be content with what he has. That has never been the case in Bryson DeChambeau's life. Do
you believe it? The case now?
He has one of the no. He is no. He can say that, but I think he's just trying to reach a certain level again. Like, his mind does not work that way. He's one of the most curious people and interesting golfers that has ever played this game. And so to think that he's just going to be stationary and just kind of continue on with this path that he is for the next 5-10 years is just ludicrous. Like, that's just not how he works. What I do think, though, Rex, is that now, I would say 3 years ago, he was trying to revolutionize the game with distance and speed and power. What I think he wants to get back to, which was his motivation in 2018, is creating a repeatable, efficient swing that produces consistent results. That's what he's trying to get back to, and I'm very curious to see if he can get to that point. Scottie Scheffler, we mentioned, the lone top 10 player in the world who actually showed up on Thursday at Oak Hill. You had an opportunity to catch up with him, as well as his swing coach, Randy Smith. What did you glean from those conversations?
I was taken by the idea that this is the same player who at the Masters led the field in ball striking. No one hit the ball better than he did at Augusta National, and was dead last in the field in putting, 53rd out of 53 players who made the cut. And he has gone from that to where he was today. He's kind of middle of the pack, but he is gaining strokes and strokes gained putting, and he made just some key putts coming down the stretch. He was bogey-free, just 1 of 5 rounds. Now the round's not over, but just 1 of 5 rounds without any bogeys. And I called Randy to see, how do you do that? How do you get from Augusta to here and not lose any confidence and not try to rebuild anything? And the answer is very, very easily, apparently, if you're Scottie Scheffler. Randy said they haven't changed much. He said he tries to get Scottie to move away from the ball a little bit. He said he's a big, tall guy, and he needs to give himself a little bit room and let his hands and his arms swing a little bit. And he said we started to see that a little bit better. But the biggest deal was Scottie just got mad. I think the word that Randy used was pissy. And he said he takes a lot of pride. And he said, and putting to him is personal. And he decided after that I'm going to turn this around on my own. And he dug in. And if you look all the way from Hilton Head, where he played, all the way through the Byron Nelson, and certainly through the first round here, it's been unbelievable. And his putting has just improved with every single round. And so to me, you sort of have that perfect, you see why he's such a good golfer. That a lot of guys in that situation might panic. They might try something new. They might switch putters, whatever the case they may be. The only thing he did was get mad. He got pissy. And I think it's amazing that he was able to travel all that distance based on that one emotion.
$5 if you use the word pissy on tonight's live from.
I don't know if I can get.
You won't. You won't.
I think I get an email for that. No,
it's a quote. It's a quote.
It is a quote. Maybe if I throw quote marks around it, because I did that in my story.
As quote pissy.
There you go. That's good.
That's how you get around that. As I sit here at 9:00 on Thursday night of this PGA Championship, like Scottie Scheffler to me is going to win this golf tournament. I had the exact same feeling midway through the Players Championship. He is built for this type of test. The best players in the world do not want to have track meets. They don't want to have 15, 20 under par winning the golf tournament. There's not enough that separates the good players from the great players. What we're going to have over the remaining 54 holes at Oak Hill is going to be a stress fest. It's going to place a premium on putting the ball in the fairway. It's going to put a premium on who can scramble the ball the best. Scottie Scheffler is the best ball striker on the PGA Tour, and I think he's kind of overtaken right now Jordan Spieth as having the preeminent short game on the PGA Tour. You put those two attributes together, and Scottie Scheffler can do very little. He can shoot 68, 69, 70 the rest of the way, and I think he's going to win this golf tournament. You look at what Dustin Johnson did on Thursday. He bogeyed the final hole, but he did not strike the ball particularly well. He made over 100 feet worth of putts. Like, that's probably not going to be sustainable for the rest of the golf tournament. Is Bryson DeChambeau's resurgence for real? I think the jury's still out on that one.
Is Eric tomorrow
Cole going to be
when
in
the wind comes up
with the 65?
Bryson hit a lot of fairways today, and I don't know if that formula holds out. It could, because again, we don't know. This goes back to what we talked about at the Masters. We really don't know what we're going to get out of the LIV players. It could, but I think that's going to be the deciding factor. To go back to Scottie's round, Randy Smith has described it perfectly. He said it was a perfectly boring major championship round of golf. No bogeys, 3 birdies, was never really stressed out. There was a couple of key, 4-footers for par coming down the stretch. He said that's as stressful as it got, and that's exactly what you want in this situation.
I couldn't agree more, Rex. Like, he's such a great driver of the golf ball. You couple that with his other gifts. He has an unflappable demeanor despite him being pissy, kind of in the off weeks trying to improve his putting. Like, he has the perfect temperament for this style of test. When the conditions get harder, I think Scottie Scheffler will only prove his mettle once again. What are you looking forward to most as we wrap up this mini pod Thursday at the PGA Championship? What are you most looking forward to seeing on day 2 at Oak Hill?
It's going to get harder. And I love the combination of names we have at the top, certainly Scottie Scheffler. And there is, we talked about the surprise that there's no John Rahm or Xander or JT or Jordan. But you have sort of, we talked about this at the Masters. And the idea that the LIV players are going to show up at these majors and be competitive like they are right now, like they were at Augusta National, it's only going to add sort of that edge. And it's not there. Like, I think in a lot of ways, we're manufacturing this in our own minds. And I'm not even talking about the media. I just think fans in general look at one side and the other side and think, oh, this is juicy. This is absolutely glorious. And that's what you have right now with Scottie Scheffler and Bryson DeChambeau and Dustin Johnson and Adam Scott. Like, which side is going to come out? It's a narrative that we've never had in golf, and I find it fascinating.
I do find it fascinating. Fans have certainly picked sides. I must admit that I'm a little bit surprised to see them playing as well as they have. Now, look, Bryson DeChambeau finished 7th last week in Tulsa. That was his best finish they've had on the LIV circuit so far. He has not done much of anything over the past 2 or 3 years as he's dealt with this gut health issue as well as the hand injury in different form. And so I think it's going to be new experiences for him, kind of tapping back into those old feelings of leading a golf tournament again. Dustin Johnson was the winner last week in a playoff. And so to see the momentum building there is no surprise. But you had Thomas Peters, who once again played well. You have Harold Varner, who's on the early leaderboard. And so it has not been kind of the market correction that I think a lot of people were anticipating when the LIV players were 3 of the top 6 at the Masters so far, at least through one round, or at least 3/4 of one round. That has not yet come to fruition. All right, we're going to let you go, Rex. You got a live from hit at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time that you need to prepare for. Make sure you guys check out all of our stuff on golfchannel.com. We will return on Friday night. Perhaps the 36-hole cut will be made. That is very much TBD. It should still be a nice day at Oak Hill with plenty of golf to be had. All right, let's go do it for this edition Golf Channel podcast with Rex and Lav. We'll talk to you tomorrow night.